Good morning, it's Friday. It's something a little bit different today because it's Friday and stuff. So what I'm going to do is play a little backing track with the aid of technology, fingers crossed that it works. And I'm going to play some different approaches in single note playing over it, right? If you want to play along, that would be fantastic. And the chords are very simple. It's just an E minor, a C, a D, E minor. I choose that rhythm. You can jumble at the rhythm. Well, you can't if you're going to play along, but you can jumble at the rhythm and play your own stuff with those chords, which would be great. The voicings are slightly different. When I played the C, I'm playing this. So the voicing then becomes. So all that's happening there is the notes in the C major chord are becoming inverted. So I've got a C, an E and a G, rather than if we played it there we'd get a C, a G, another C, and then we'd get the E there. So it just, to me, makes it slightly more evocative, a little bit more wistful. So as I say, I've got the backing track, and fingers crossed, with the aid of technology, it'll work. Now what I'm going to do, the very first one, is just play off the E 5-note scale. So we haven't got very much to work with here. I'm not going to use any excess stress with my right hand. I'm not going to use any massive finger vibrato. I'm not going to bend the strings. I'm going to play with what we've got, which is a 5-note scale. Okay, here we go. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that sounded quite nice, and we had very, very little to work with there. Just a 5-note scale, so that is just E 5-note scale, E minor 5-note scale. Now, one thing I did was I tried to get the timing right. This is really important. The timing and the articulation are really, really important. And you know, it's kind of patronising. I think, you know, when you sort of say, look, I'll give you an example of playing bad, because I can play bad, you know, very easily myself. But if you see what I mean, you know, you see what I mean? That's terrible. That's just unlistenable, right? Erase that bit. And all I'm doing there is you know, my timing's off. That's all it is. Now play the same thing with the timing on. And it suddenly becomes meaningful. So here's approach 2. We're going to play the same thing. This time we're going to open up the scale. So rather than having, we're going to have we've got a straight E minor scale. So let's see if this is not better but different. There we go, we've opened up the notes, we've got a little bit more to it, we've got more possibilities with the melody. We can now play stuff like, you know, that kind of thing. You know, we've got that because we've got the whole E minor scale, right? I'm still not bending any of the notes, I'm still not, you know, whacking the string or, you know, anything like that at all. But we've got two sort of separate approaches there. Now if we open up a little bit more, I'm still going to play in a fairly minimalist manner. That means I'm not going to, like, you know, just, you know, whiz over the frets, because that's not going to help anybody, and, you know, ultimately it's not going to sound good. If you play something at warp speed that's got incredible technique and that, you know, it may impress some people, but it won't impress anyone who can play at warp speed with incredible technique, 10 times the warp speed that you're at, you know. But if you play something that's good, it's good. If you play something that sounds nice, it sounds nice. It'll always sound nice. There's certainly a place, you know, for blitzkrieg playing, and I love it. You know, I love to see a guy just turn it up. But, you know, you've really got to think about what serves the song. So here comes approach number 3, and this time I'm going to try and make it as emotive as I possibly can, and I'm going to introduce bending the strings in this one. Okay, here we go. Fingers crossed again. Right, now that begins to sound a bit more like solo guitar. It begins to sound, I think, a bit more like what we're used to. Now all I'm doing there is I'm taking the notes on the minor scale and playing out in bends rather than fretting them. So instead of going, which is fine, I would go, and it's got that very, you know, sort of, just the sound that attracted us to the guitar in the first place. You know, the first time you heard someone play that, just that crying sound, that, you know, it touches your heart, man. It really does. So what I'm doing is playing the bends. Now, what are the bends in E minor? This is really, really important, right? The most common one, the most well known, is D up to E. So that's the one you'll hear the most. So that's flat 7th up to the tonic. The one you'll hear next is 4th up to 5th. You know, we all recognise that. Right? But there are others. There's the F sharp. Bend it, but only bend it half a tone. Don't bend it 2 frets, bend it 1. So you get. That's quite a nice one. And then how about bending the 5th? So. So we take the B note, which is the 5th. Get that, you know, again, very aching, crying. And there's one more, and this is a really special one to me, or very useful, or one, just one that I really like. And this one is the tonic, bend the tonic to the 9th, right? That sounds really complex. So, you know, just take the name of the song we're playing it, you know, take the key and bend that note. That's it, right? So we're in E. So, and the bend is this. We bend the E to F sharp. Okay. Then when I come back, I'm going to give you a demonstration with just that one bend.